He laughed while asking her to fight, then screamed when she snapped his knee. But the real story behind that moment was much deeper than a single fight. It was about courage, resilience, and the strength people carry when others underestimate them. The story begins in a small-town gym, a place where the smell of sweat mixed with the sound of punching bags thudding against worn leather. For years, this gym was known as the hangout of tough men who believed fighting was about brute strength, intimidation, and ego. And in the corner of that world walked Maya, a quiet young woman who had been coming every day, practicing in silence. She didn't have the bulging muscles or the intimidating stare of the others. Instead, she carried herself with calmness, discipline, and something the others couldn't see at first, unshakable determination. Maya wasn't new to hardship. She grew up in a family where opportunities were rare, and respect even rarer. Her father had left when she was just a child, and her mother worked long shifts to keep food on the table. Bullies at school saw her quietness as weakness, mocking her, sometimes even shoving her around. But instead of letting anger destroy her, Maya carried all that pain into training. At 16, she walked into the local gym, asking to learn martial arts. Most of the men laughed at her, including Brent, the loudest and strongest of them all. Brent was everything Maya wasn't: tall, broad, and arrogant. He loved showing off, often belittling anyone he thought beneath him. To him, fighting was about humiliating opponents, not mastering himself. Whenever Maya trained in the gym, Brent would make comments loud enough for everyone to hear. "Careful, don't break a nail. Martial arts isn't for little girls. You'd run the second you get hit." But Maya never reacted. She kept practicing, drill after drill, her focus sharp, her breathing steady. She knew her time would come. One evening, the gym was crowded. Brent had just finished sparring with another fighter, leaving the man limping away, clutching his ribs. Brent laughed, raising his arms in mock victory, feeding off the cheers of his friends. Then, his eyes landed on Maya. "You," he called out, pointing at her with a smirk. "You've been hiding in the corner all this time. Why don't you step up? Show us what you've got." The crowd laughed, egging her on. Maya felt her heart pound, not from fear, but from the weight of the moment she had been waiting for. She stepped into the ring slowly, tying her hair back, her expression unreadable. Brent chuckled. "This'll be quick. Don't cry when it hurts." The bell rang. At first, Brent played around, throwing lazy punches, smirking as Maya dodged each one with calculated precision. The crowd roared with laughter every time she slipped past his attacks. But then Maya's eyes narrowed. She saw the gap, his overconfidence. With lightning speed, she countered. Her movements weren't fueled by anger but by years of practice. She landed clean strikes to his ribs, his jaw, his legs. The laughter in the gym turned into stunned silence. Brent, now embarrassed, lunged forward recklessly. That's when it happened. Maya timed her move perfectly. She sidestepped, trapped his leg, and twisted sharply. A sickening crack echoed through the gym. Brent screamed, collapsing to the mat, clutching his knee in agony. The room fell silent. Nobody laughed. Nobody cheered. They all stared at Maya, the quiet girl they had mocked, the one they had underestimated. She didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She simply stepped back, bowed respectfully, and walked out of the ring. But the story didn't end there. In the days that followed, people whispered about what happened. Some said Maya was too brutal. Others said Brent deserved it. But for Maya, it wasn't about revenge. She hadn't stepped into that ring to humiliate Brent, she did it to prove something bigger. That strength isn't about size. That respect must be earned, not demanded. That discipline beats arrogance every time. Brent, while recovering from his injury, had time to think. At first, he was bitter, angry at being beaten by someone he thought beneath him. But as weeks turned into months, he returned to the gym, humbled. He no longer mocked Maya. In fact, he asked her, quietly, almost ashamed, if she could teach him the discipline she carried. Maya agreed, not with pride, but with grace. Because for her, martial arts was never about breaking others, it was about building something within. And so, the girl who was once laughed at became the example everyone in the gym looked up to. She transformed not only herself but also those around her, turning cruelty into respect and arrogance into humility. The message of Maya's story is clear: never underestimate someone who walks quietly, because their silence often hides the strength of storms. And sometimes, the greatest victories aren't in snapping knees or silencing crowds, they're in changing hearts, starting with your own.